The European Union mediated talks on ending the conflict in eastern Ukraine took place after a week of shuttle diplomacy aimed at defusing the crisis. Meanwhile, fierce fighting in Donetsk and Luhansk continued as both sides made efforts to gain control of key territory ahead of the talks. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko said without a deal, the fighting could get worse.
The entire world is waiting to see whether the situation moves toward de-escalation, weapons drawdown, ceasefire, and if there won't be any deaths. And if Minsk won't become this symbol, then this situation will explode. I'm convinced that it will spin out of control.
The number of casualties has jumped in just the last few days. Fighting in the region has killed at least 5,300 people so far. Donetsk residents put little hope in the peace talks.
I don't
think the talks will be effective. It's just a waste of time to regroup and reform the troops and win some more time.
Some remain defiant.
I don't believe we can expect anything from this meeting. We should fight for what is ours, go ahead, win, and install our own government.
In the eastern town of Kramatorsk, 15 people were killed and many others wounded in shelling by the government Tuesday. One resident says this will not stop the war.
It's possible to do it with peaceful negotiations, but in my personal opinion, it will only be possible when everyone gets tired of war and the resources for it end. When war exhausts itself, when there's an unbelievable amount of casualties. Only then will people get tired of it, and when the money stops, then yes, they'll agree.
Analysts agree. British journalist Andrew Wilson told VOA via Skype that Russia would get out of eastern Ukraine if it had to pay a higher price for interfering.
Huge numbers of dead Russians would actually undermine the kind of domestic coalition of support that he has. So it's not the direct costs, but really the indirect costs that matter.
And that means, Wilson said, that Western countries should send weapons to Ukraine so it can fortify its borders against Russia. The United States and the EU have been reluctant to do that, fearing an escalation in the conflict, something that is happening anyway. President Poroshenko said he would not hesitate to declare martial law in Ukraine if the peace talks collapsed, resulting in even more fighting. Zlatica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.